It's 2 a.m. in Chicago. The city lights paint sterile patterns across the floor-to-ceiling windows of the condo Isabel and I share, but I'm not looking at the view. I'm staring at a mirrored feed on my encrypted laptop, the faint blue light reflecting in my eyes. Accessing her communications wasn't hard, not with my background managing high-net-worth clients and their complex security needs. The justification felt thin, even to me, but the gnawing suspicion had become unbearable. Was this paranoia or self-preservation? 19 years. We built a life together, or rather Isabel orchestrated it, subtly steering my career ambitions as a financial advisor while managing our social standing. She came from money. I made it. We were comfortable, successful, and distant. The perfect high-powered Chicago couple, maybe, but the connection had frayed and thin over years of long hours at the firm for me, and whatever filled her days now. That nagging question, that space between us, was why I was doing this. The monitoring software, usually tasked with flagging suspicious transactions for clients, pinged an alert I'd set for specific keywords on Isabel's personal device. A thread with someone listed simply as Liam, Art Gallery. My gut clenched. I opened it. It wasn't just friendly banter. "Can't stop thinking about yesterday," Liam had written. Isabel's reply, sent just hours ago. "Me neither. It felt necessary. Same place. Tuesday lunch?" Liam, counting down the minutes. "Love you." Isabel, "You too." "You too. Not just confirming lunch. Love you too." The words hung there on the screen, stark and digital. The floor didn't just drop out. It evaporated beneath me. The vague suspicion I'd been wrestling with solidified instantly into cold, hard certainty. This wasn't paranoia. This was happening. 19 years, and this is where we were. The question wasn't if anymore, it was what now. Tuesday lunch. I didn't need to follow her. Sitting in my soundproofed office overlooking the Chicago River, I activated the live audio feed from Isabel's phone, the spyware seamlessly patching me through. The muffled sounds of an upscale bistro filtered in, discreet chatter, the clink of silverware. Then their voices. Liam's was smooth, confident. "Oh, absolutely stunning today, Isabel. That color brings out your eyes." Isabel's laugh was lighter, younger than I'd heard it in years. "Stop it, Liam." "I mean it," he persisted. "Your husband, Ethan, right? Does he even appreciate what he has? Seems like the kind of guy who's married to his portfolio." A pause. "Ethan works hard," Isabel said, a note of defensiveness I hadn't expected. "It's complicated." "Everything's complicated when you're settling," Liam countered easily. "Life shouldn't feel like a merger and acquisition. It should feel like this." There was a rustle, the sound of a hand possibly finding another under the table. "With you, Isabel," he murmured, his voice dropping lower, "I feel alive. Don't you?" "Yes," she whispered, the single word confirming of everything the text had implied. The conversation drifted to logistics, future plans, coded language about finding time. The physical affair wasn't just a plan, it was an ongoing reality. The cold certainty in my gut solidified into a block of ice. But the ice shattered just 2 days later, replaced by something far more corrosive. The software flagged an incoming call to Isabel's phone. Caller ID, Helen, my mother-in-law. I listened. "Just checking in, darling," Helen's smooth, cultured voice began. "How are things?" "Okay, Mom," Isabel sighed. "Lunch with Liam was nice, but I feel so conflicted. What if Ethan finds out?" Helen scoffed lightly. "Ethan? Honestly, Isabel, he should be thanking you for maintaining appearances all these years. Men like Ethan, career-obsessed, they need a wife who managed the home front beautifully, which you do. But a woman has other needs. Needs he's clearly too preoccupied or perhaps too old to fulfill anymore. Just be discreet, darling, that's all that matters. Keep this separate, maintain your poise. He'll be none the wiser, and frankly, it's better for everyone that way." There was a chilling pragmatism in her tone, normalizing the deceit. My own mother-in-law, sanctioning the affair. The betrayal widened, deepened, but the worst was yet to come. That weekend another flagged notification. This time it was the family group chat, the one with me, Isabel, and our twin daughters, Olivia and Chloe, both away at expensive East Coast colleges. It started innocuously, chatter about upcoming breaks. Then Olivia texted, clearly just to Isabel and Chloe based on the context that followed. "So spill, Mom. How was the gallery opening with Liam?" "Pix her, it didn't happen," Isabel replied. "It was lovely. Liam knows everyone, but felt weird being out thinking of Dad." Chloe chimed in immediately. "Mom, oh my God, stop. Dad's clueless, LOL. He's buried in spreadsheets 24/7. You deserve to have fun. Be happy. Seriously, don't let Dad guilt you," Olivia added. "Totally agree. You've done the dutiful wife thing for ages. Plus, honestly, a little excitement might even be good for their marriage in the long run. Keeps a dad on his toes, maybe?" Ha ha, tick. Unless, reading their words, my daughters, the girls I had read bedtime stories to, the ones I worked 60, 70 hours a week to provide for, felt like being physically struck. Their casual dismissal of me, their flippant encouragement of their mother's infidelity, their perception of me as some oblivious, work-obsessed drone who deserved this. It wasn't just betrayal anymore, it was annihilation. I finally understood. This wasn't just Isabel having an affair. This was a collective agreement. Her mother knew and approved. My own daughters knew and joked about it, viewing me as an irrelevant obstacle to their mother's happiness. They were all complicit, bound together in a narrative where I was the supporting character whose feelings didn't matter, whose role was simply to provide and remain ignorant. The coldness that had settled in my gut spread outwards, freezing everything else. There was no more pain, no more shock, just a terrifying, crystalline clarity. I was utterly alone inside my own family, and they had no idea who they were dealing with. Weeks passed in a haze of forced normalcy. I went to work, managed portfolios, sat through dinners with Isabel, where the silence screamed louder than any argument could have. Inside, I was cold, methodical, gathering data, waiting. The initial shock had morphed into a watchful, calculating calm. I knew the affair was just a symptom. The disease was the rot within the family structure itself. And I suspected it went deeper than just tacit approval. Then the alert I'd half been expecting, half dreading, finally came. A high priority flag in a scheduled video call. Not just Isabel and her mother, Helen, this time. It included Victoria, Isabel's mother, patching in from her winter home in Palm Beach. The unholy trinity. I settled into my office chair, noise-canceling headphones on, and tuned in. The annual fundraising gala for the Children's Hospital next Friday, Helen was saying, her voice crisp and businesslike. It's perfect. Ethan has to be there. It's practically mandatory for senior partners at his firm. High profile, with lots of potential to witnesses to his state. State? Isabel asked nervously. His intoxicated state, darling, Helen clarified smoothly. He rarely drinks heavily. A few well-placed top-ups from a friendly waiter we can arrange, and he'll be pliable. Pliable for what, exactly? Isabel's voice was thin. Victoria chimed in, her tone sharper than Helen's. For ensuring your future, Isabel. Ethan's being stubborn. His ridiculous pride won't let him accept the reality of a modern marriage between equals. Since he won't agree willingly, we need leverage. Insurance. My blood ran colder, if that was even possible. Leverage. How? Isabel whispered. Sarah from your husband's marketing department, Helen said matter-of-factly. Remember her? Young, ambitious, slightly overwhelmed single mother. Victoria and I have been mentoring her through the Women's Executive Network. She understands the importance of loyalty. And discretion. She owes us a favor, let's say. Sarah. Isabel sounded shocked. You want Sarah to... with Ethan? Heavens no, darling, don't be crude, Helen admonished gently. Sarah simply needs to play a part. Flirt with him visibly throughout the evening, make sure people notice. Then ensure he has one too many. Under the guise of helping him get some air, calling him a cab, she lures him away from the main ballroom. We'll have a suite booked at the adjoining hotel. And then, Isabel pressed. And then, Victoria cut in. Sarah gets him into the room, perhaps helps him onto the bed if he's unwell. He'll likely pass out. She removes some of his clothing, maybe loosens his tie, unbuttons his shirt, perhaps removes his trousers, and messes up her own appearance slightly. Then she leaves. Leaves? Yes, Helen confirmed. Someone else will handle the documentation. Discreetly entering the room moments after Sarah leaves, taking several sleer, compromising photographs of Ethan asleep or passed out, partially undressed, in the hotel room with clear signs someone else Sarah was just there. Then that person leaves. Cleanly. Who? Isabel asked. Someone trustworthy, Helen said dismissively. Don't concern yourself with that, dear. The point is, the next morning you, Isabel, present Ethan with the photos. Express your shock. You're hurt. But ultimately your willingness to forgive his drunken mistake. On one condition, of course. That he accepts... Liam? Isabel's voice was barely audible. Precisely, Victoria confirmed. Faced with his own apparent infidelity, his hypocrisy exposed, what grounds will he have to object? He'll be grateful for your forgiveness, desperate to keep the scandal quiet. He'll agree to your terms. You get your freedom, darling, without jeopardizing your financial security or disrupting the family dynamic. I sat there motionless, listening to them calmly architect my humiliation. It wasn't about ending the marriage. It was about controlling it, breaking my will, forcing me into their twisted definition of acceptance. Helen, the clear mastermind, orchestrates everything with chilling precision. They discuss logistics, contingencies, how to brief Sarah without revealing the full extent, how Isabel should act afterwards. It was a masterclass in manipulation, delivered over chamomile tea and cucumber sandwiches for all I knew. As they finalized their sickening plan, a thought surfaced, unbidden but sharp. They were meticulously planning their moves on a board where they couldn't even see all the pieces. They knew about my salary, my bonuses, the assets Isabel was privy to. They knew nothing of the other accounts, the offshore entities, the profits skimmed from deals built on ethically gray foundations, my insurance, my leverage, built over years of playing a different kind of game. They thought they were trapping a cornered animal. They had no idea they were poking a dragon sitting on its hoard. The gala was next Friday. They had given me 7 days' notice. The night of the Children's Hospital gala arrived draped in false smiles and the cloying scent of expensive perfume. The ballroom buzzed with Chicago's elite, clients, competitors, colleagues. I played my part, circulating, shaking hands, my face an impassive mask honed by years in high-stakes finance. Across the room I saw them. Isabel, looking radiant in emerald silk. Helen, ever watchful. Even Victoria, who must have flown in specially. They were a tight knot, occasionally glancing my way. And then there was Sarah from marketing, looking pale and nervous, clutching her champagne flute like a life raft. I made sure to accept a second glass of whiskey when offered, maybe swayed a little too obviously on my feet when greeting a senior partner. I saw Helen give Isabel a subtle, satisfied nod. The bait was taken. Later, as the speeches droned on, Sarah materialized at my elbow. "Mr. Harrison! Ethan!" Her voice trembled slightly. "Are you feeling all right? You look a little flushed. Maybe some fresh air." I feigned a moment of disorientation, leaning slightly on a nearby pillar. Yeah, maybe you're right. Bit warm in here." "There's a lounge area just off the mezzanine," she offered, her eyes darting nervously towards where Helen stood observing. Or, I know the hotel connects through here. Maybe just sit down quietly for a minute." "Good idea, Sarah." I slurred just enough. "Lead the way." I let her guide me through a side door, down a blessedly quiet corridor towards the adjoining hotel. She used a keycard on a suite near the elevators. Suite 1408. Inside, it was dimly lit, anonymous luxury. Just sit down here," she stammered, gesturing towards the plush, king-sized bed. "I'll get you some water." She fussed unnecessarily, pouring water I didn't want. Then, taking a deep breath, she turned back. Maybe loosen your tie, Mr. Harrison. Just relax for a moment." She reached towards me, her fingers fumbling nervously at the knot. That's when I stopped her. My voice, dropping the manufactured slur, came out perfectly clear, cold as the ice clinking in the bucket across the room. "Sarah, that's enough." She froze, her hand hovering near my chest. Her eyes widened in pure, unadulterated panic. Mr. Harrison? I don't... Save it!" I cut her off, my voice low but sharp. "I know exactly what this is. The drinks, the suite, the concerned colleague routine. Helen put you up to this, didn't she? Or was it Victoria?" Sarah looked like she was about to faint or be sick. Tears welled in her eyes. I don't care about your reasons." I said, feeling a flicker of pity for the pawn but none for the players. But you should know the game's over. Tell Helen the plan failed. Now get out of here before you're implicated any further. She didn't need telling twice. She practically scrambled out of the room, leaving the door slightly ajar in her haste. I straightened my tie, took a deliberate breath, and picked up the room phone. I dialed Isabel's cell. "Isabel," I said when she answered, keeping my voice level. "Suite 1408. We need to talk. Now." I hung up before she could reply. I waited. 5 minutes later, the door pushed open and Isabel swept in, her expression carefully arranged into one of wifely concern, likely expecting to find me passed out or compromised. Instead, she found me standing by the window, perfectly sober, watching her. The mask slipped. Shock, confusion, then dawning horror flickered across her face as she took in the empty room, the untouched water, my clear eyes. "Ethan, what happened? Where's Sarah? Are you okay?" "I'm perfectly fine, Isabel," I said quietly. "Though I imagine you're not." I let the silence hang for a moment. The affair with Liam. I know. Her breath hitched, color drained from her face, then rushed back in a wave of crimson. "Ethan, I can explain." "Can you?" I countered, my voice devoid of heat. "Can you explain the lunch dates, the gallery openings, the texts, the love yous?" I watched her flinch. But that was just the start, wasn't it? Because I know about the phone calls, too. With your mother, with Helen. Encouraging you, dismissing me, normalizing it all. I stepped closer. And then, our daughters, Isabel, Olivia, and Chloe, knowing, approving, laughing about their clueless father, offering to help manage me. Tears started streaming down her face now. Genuine or performed, I couldn't tell. "Ethan, please." "And when you realized I might not just roll over," I continued relentlessly, "when you realized I might actually have some pride left, you cooked up this. Tonight. The gala. Getting me drunk." I gestured around the suite. "Luring me up here with Sarah. Poor Sarah, quite out of her depth, wouldn't you say? Planning to have her partially undress me, get me into bed, and then have someone sneak in and take photos? Photos you could use to blackmail me, to humiliate me into accepting your little arrangement with Liam?" I laid it all bare, every sordid detail Helen had so carefully outlined. "No!" she sobbed, shaking her head violently. "It wasn't... Mom got carried away. I didn't..." "You stood by, Isabel," I said, the coldness absolute now. "You participated. You came here expecting to find the final piece of your leverage." I met her tear-filled eyes. "You didn't just cheat on me. You conspired with our family, our children, to systematically destroy my reputation and trap me in this sham of a marriage based on your terms." "But I love you," she cried, reaching for me. "I always have. Liam, it didn't mean anything." I stepped back, avoiding her touch. "Love?" The word tasted like ash. "This isn't love, Isabel. This is pathology. And it's over." "No! Ethan, don't say that! We can fix this!" "There's nothing to fix," I stated. "The decision final, irrevocable. The marriage. This life. It ended the moment you decided betrayal and manipulation were acceptable tools. It ended when you dragged our daughters into it. It ended when you planned this." I gestured around the room again. "We're done. Not because of Liam, because of you." I didn't look back at Isabel crumpled in the hotel suite. There was nothing left to say, nothing left to see. I walked out of Suite 1408, down the quiet hotel corridor, bypassing the still ongoing gala entirely. Retrieving my coat, I nodded curtly to the attendant and stepped out into the cold Chicago night. The city air felt sharp, clean, like the first breath after surfacing from underwater. Behind me, I could vaguely imagine the implosion, Isabel trying to salvage the situation, Helen's controlled fury, the frantic calls, the dawning realization that their carefully constructed world had just been detonated, but it felt distant, muffled, like a storm happening leagues away. It wasn't my concern anymore. Driving through the city, the familiar skyline felt alien, rearranged. The profound sense of betrayal hadn't vanished, especially the sting from Olivia and Chloe, my own daughters. But it was overlaid now with something else, a vast, echoing sense of release. The weight I hadn't even fully realized I was carrying for 19 years. The weight of their expectations, their manipulations, their carefully maintained illusions had lifted. The gilded cage door hadn't just been opened. I had vaporized the entire cage. I saw them all clearly now, stripped bare by their own plotting. Isabel, trapped between desire and dependence. Helen, the ruthless matriarch, pulling the strings. My daughters, corrupted by the entitlement they'd been raised in. The sadness was there. A hollow ache for the family I thought I had. The love I thought was real. But it was the clean pain of amputation, not the festering wound of deceit. What now? The question hung in the air, vast and empty. For the first time in nearly 2 decades, my future wasn't mapped out, wasn't subject to Isabel's plans or Helen's approval. It was a blank slate. And then I remembered the other accounts. The secure servers, the untraceable transfers, the quiet accumulation of wealth built on bending rules and exploiting loopholes, the fruits of my own morally gray existence that they knew nothing about. It wasn't just freedom, it was funded freedom, options they couldn't comprehend, let alone control. A quiet chuckle escaped me, low and humorless in the confines of the car. They thought they held all the cards, focused on manipulating my emotions and societal expectations. They never once considered that I might have built my own escape hatch, lined with the very thing they seemed to value most. I didn't know where I was going next, maybe somewhere warmer, maybe somewhere simpler. Maybe I'd finally use that money to build something real, something clean, or maybe not. The point was, the choice was finally entirely mine. They had tried to reshape me, control me, cage me with their expectations and their lies, but they failed. I was out. Alone, yes, but utterly, irrevocably free. And they would never see me coming.